Hi all, in this video we will try to understand Jyeshta Nakshatra. It's a Mercury Nakshatra. So every Mercury Nakshatra, whether it is Aslesha or Jyeshta or Revati, they are all at the end of watery signs. If you observe Aslesha Nakshatra, it is at the end of Cancer sign, which is a watery sign, and Jyeshtha Nakshatra is at the end of Scorpio, which is a deep watery sign, right? So, and Revati Nakshatra is at the end of the sign Pisces, which is also another a very big sacrificing watery nakshatra, sacrificing sign, right? So it's a watery sign, basically the Pisces. Now we will try to focus on the Jyeshtha Nakshatra here. So what is Jyeshtha Nakshatra? What is the meaning, and what kind of energy we can perceive from Jyeshtha Nakshatra? What kind of energy it can reflect, basically, right? So this kind of details we will try to understand. So Jyeshtha Nakshatra is it actually occupies the area in the sky 16 degree 40 minutes of Scorpio to 30 degrees of Scorpio, that watery area, right? That particular watery sign area it occupies, Jyeshtha Nakshatra. So now Jyeshtha, the initially we will try to understand how many nakshatras, how many stars this particular Jyeshtha Nakshatra actually consists of. Every nakshatra consists of some stars. So how much brighter it is. So Jyeshtha is the senior most among the first 18 nakshatras. It is generally called, because it's something like, Revati is the final one. Final one is always the most senior, right? That kind of interpretation also you can have in nakshatra astrology. So based on that, Jyeshtha is actually in the first 18 nakshatra, that is from Ashwini to Jyeshtha. You can see there are 18 nakshatras. In all those 18 nakshatras, Jyeshtha is the final one, right, in the 18 nakshatras. So it is the senior most among these 18. So it consists of 3 stars in a row, basically. So 3 stars in a row. So 3 are more significant stars in the Jyeshtha Nakshatra. So this particular nakshatra was seen by our ancient sages, and they perceived it as a shape similar to an ear ring, or in some cases the top of an umbrella also. It looks like top of an umbrella, or it looks like an ear ring. So here just see, whatever may be the shape of it, but how they try to symbolize it, how they try to perceive it, has some meaning, basically, right? So here we are understanding this a ear ring shape. It's top of an umbrella, right? So we will try to discuss that in a moment. So the visual magnitude, if you observe, there is in the 3 stars, there is one star which is having visual magnitude of 1.07, which indicates this particular star is very much brighter, right? Because if visual magnitude is lesser, the brightness is more. Now it is in fact one of the brightest objects in the sky, undoubtedly, because of that less visual magnitude. There is an inverse relationship between visual magnitude and brightness. So it's very easy to spot in the night sky if you are in the countryside where there are no lights on the roads and on the earth, and if you try to see it, you can clearly, right, you can visually spot it, right, with the aid of some any kind of telescopes or whatever also, right? Leave it. So how we can see it, all the scientific things, astronomical things, we are not into that, but we are into how our sages identified this particular nakshatra, what kind of energy they they observed from this particular nakshatra. So that's what we are into. Now Jyeshta translates into the eldest. Jyeshta, the Sanskrit meaning of Jyeshta is the eldest, senior most. So you can clearly see Jyeshta's name immediately reveals a lot about its nature and functioning. That's why the name itself. So what are the general duties and responsibilities of any eldest or senior most person? So I am talking about the duties. You just imagine. So the moment someone is elder, the moment someone is senior most, we are expecting that person to be very responsible, right? So just understand, so Jyeshta is considered the eldest among the first 18 nakshatras, of course, and at some point in time in ancient history only 18 nakshatras were in use, and Jyeshta was the final. That was the time it was named as Jyeshta, right? So otherwise, of course, if you now you have 27 nakshatras. Now Revati is the senior most, of course, but Jyeshta, once upon a time, only 18 nakshatras were very much significant. That's why Jyeshta was senior most, was considered as the eldest one, right? Senior most, responsible one. So since then more nakshatras have been added in the history of time, and just observe the symbolism of it. Its symbolism is a round talisman. Round talisman is the symbolism. In all the ancient civilizations, one can see that a round talisman is seen as a symbol of divine protection, right? Talisman is always the symbol of protection, right? So in many cases one will find that it is also the symbolism of someone who is in the authoritative position, someone who is in a more responsible position also. So talisman is a kind of, it is giving us a sense of protection, it is giving us a sense of responsibility, authority, and also there is another symbolism, that is circular ear ring is also a sort of round talisman, right? So and all the kings of the past in the Indian history were expected to wear very big round earrings. Thus an earring, if you observe clearly, it is the main symbol of this nakshatra, because it is showing someone someone who is in the authoritative position. So a round talisman or a ring or ear ring, all are considered to be related to the governing forces or authoritative forces of the universe, right? So someone who is in the authority, someone who is in the governing position, right? That is the Jyeshta energy. So you can see all wise men have known throughout the ages, right? Whoever we know, everything in nature happens in circles only. Whether the every human being in the history of time, knew that everything happens in circular fashion only, right? So whatever the yugas also, you see, first it was Kruta Yuga, then Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and now Kali Yuga is running on. Then, right after that again it is a kind of circular only, right? Again we will reach Kruta Yuga only, but by this one, by something like Dwapara Yuga, then we will have Treta Yuga, then we will have Kruta Yuga, right? This is the circle. Then again, then after Kruta Yuga, Treta, Dwapara, Kali Yuga, then Dwapara, and then Treta, and then Kruta, like that. This forms a circle basically. So all wise men knew it in the history of times. So in ancient times you can clearly see king was supposed to be the person who is actually the representative of the higher governing forces, right? So he used the ancient kings, right? This particular circular symbolism shows that why earrings, the kings were wearing that kind of earrings, right? It was showing, it was also giving us a sense of, by seeing those earrings you can clearly understand the other person is in some authority, he is a governing force. A circular symbols always represent, always give us a symbolism, always giving us a sense of protection, a sense of authority, a sense of governing force. Circle is always like that, right? The circular energy is like that, because in the nature also, it's very natural, right? After Kruta Yuga, this is Kruta Yuga or Satya Yuga, then we have Treta Yuga, then Dwapara Yuga, then Kali Yuga, then again Dwapara Yuga. So this circle is also very natural. It's a governing force basically, right? So it is very powerful. The symbolism, the circular symbolism is very much powerful. It is authoritative, right? So that is where this earring symbol is coming into the picture. So if you wear some earring, then you also, people can perceive you as someone who is responsible, someone who is in the authority, someone who is a very governing force kind of energy it reveals, right? Circle is always giving us a sense of protection also, right? The other person is a kind of protector. If someone is wearing a circular thing, then by seeing that person you generally feel the person is a kind of protector, right? So that kind of sense, it is present in the nature itself. So our ancient sages observed this energy and they gave this circular symbolism for Jyeshta Nakshatra. So one can automatically understand that this nakshatra relates to all those in authoritative positions. So this authority is usually, it can be gained, it is actually gained, it is for governing actually the universal forces, that kind of authority. It's a very natural force, basically it's a very natural governing force, you can say. Natural authoritative force is Jyeshta. So this particular authoritative nature or authority by default, it may be the result of repeated past life efforts, you can say, in the fields of karma or occult practices, or whether it is penance, or whether it is doing any pujas or anything you can understand. Because of all the past karma efforts, the person born in this particular yuga or in this particular time, the native actually, that native can be a Jyeshta Lagna person, or a person having moon in Jyeshta, or a person having more Jyeshta energy. The person is generally authoritative, generally he is a protector kind of behavior he exhibits. He always try to show that kind of behavior. He always tells you that he is going to protect you, he is going to help you, he is going to he is a kind of, he feels like he is a kind of governing force, he feels like he can do something, right? So that is the sense of Jyeshta. So the most important example of a circular symbol, if you observe, that is a coiled snake in the ancient temples, Indian temples, you can clearly see it, right? A coiled snake swallowing its tail, that is the circular symbol you can find in most of the in most of the ancient Indian temples. A circular snake, a coiled circular snake, which is actually swallowing its tail, that is the circular symbolism, right? So this particular serpent symbolism relates to Rahu and Ketu also, and the Kundalini energy, or whatever the Kundalini Shakti, all these things, right? basically this Kundalini Shakti, Kundalini awakening, all these things are very much prominent in Indian ancient civilization, right. So currently it is not much more, people are trying to understand it much more better, but in ancient India it was the most common practice, the Kundalini awakening and all this stuff. So the earring or the ring, basically it is, I'm just giving a lot of examples showing that it is very much important, the symbolism. It has that much power. The Kundalini energy also I am quoting here because it has that much power, right. So it's the authority and responsibility and a sense of protection. That is the energy of Jyeshta, right. And now I am also giving another symbolism. I am also giving you another a depiction of it. It's umbrella. The symbolism is umbrella. It's actually another symbolism of it. So the most basic functioning of umbrella is what? It's protecting us from rain, right. So or even on sun, even if it is a very sunny day, so from that also you can protect yourself. Even from wind you can protect, right. So basically the nature forces, what are all these? Rain, wind or sun, all are very natural forces, right. The nature forces basically. So you can protect yourself from all these nature's forces using an umbrella, right. So umbrella is basically, it's giving us a sense of protection. So Jyeshta people have a natural tendency of protecting, right. That is the main symbolism. So this nakshatra is supposed to provide protection against even the universal forces, even the natural forces. See how much power they have. The Jyeshta power is really exceptional. If they commit to protect someone, just imagine how much they can protect. They can go to any extent, even because the power is something like they can protect from natural forces, and they can also protect from even from the universal forces, any kind of forces. That's really a vital, it's a very great power. In order to show that great power, only that ring symbolism, even in ancient civilization the ring symbolism was mainly associated with Kundalini awakening, the Kundalini energy and all the stuff. The serpent coil, which was the snake head, which was actually swallowing the tail, its whole, the energy of Rahu Ketu is, just imagine, the Rahu Ketu energy is really exceptional, right. The power is really exceptional. So in order to give that sense, our ancient sages give the symbolism of ring. So Jyeshta people can go to any extent in order to protect someone. That kind of energy they have, that kind of natural ability they have, right. So that is the protectional force that they can offer. That is basically the responsibility. They feel it as responsible. It's not like they, generally the energy is something like, whether they do their own work with a lot of responsibility or not, if they want to help others, if they want to do something for others, they feel it as a very big responsibility, right. So it's a kind of protection. They can offer protection. That is the main energy of Jyeshta. So all kings, who is the king basically? Why the kings, were bringing kings again and again here, kings and symbolism of circle? Because you can name any other person, right, but here we are naming the king because king is a selfless force on the earth, right. In ancient India, king, a kshatriya, was treated as one of the greatest personalities, and he was almost treated like a god, because a king basically he used to protect others, even sacrificing himself, right. That's why the symbolism of king is always coming into the picture. King wearing an earring is, right, that kind of energy we are actually talking about here. So so even in the ancient days, kings never used to go out without using an umbrella. So that umbrella is basically, it's a kind of protection. The whole energy we're talking about here, umbrella, king related things we're talking about the responsibility, protection, right? So it's a kind of it's a kind of, Jyeshta is a kind of royal nakshatra, you can also say, which is showing which is signifying the qualities of protection. Basically, in that sense it is royal. We'll also talk about the negative traits, of course, but the main thing is the royal behavior is in this kind of protection, in this kind of taking responsibility of others, taking that is really important here. So this protection usually comes through a detailed understanding of various universal functionings. Of course, it's a past karma impact only. With their past karma, with their past life efforts only, they are actually becoming the Jyeshta people in this birth. So basically it's a protective shield, right? So in today's day and age, where most of the masses are totally ignorant of any kind of problems, right, this Jyeshta people support is very much really good, because for ignorant people, if the people are ignorant and if they have one Jyeshta person as a leader, just imagine they can be protected, right? So but one more important thing is by the yuga, the dharma is actually going a bit down, the protectiveness of Jyeshta. You just imagine Swati Nakshatra, suppose, the wind, right? It's wind energy. Wind energy's representation in Treta Yuga was Hanuman, right? He was treated as a god. Then in the Dwapara Yuga it was Bhima, who is also considered as god in some of the parts of India, where maybe in some northern parts of India, somewhere. But see, as by yuga, the dharma actually changes. Hanuman was more like a god, and Bhima was not as much efficient. It's not like as much efficient, it was a bit lesser than Hanuman, definitely, right? So, and just imagine a Swati energy person, a windy energy god, even if he is taking birth in the age of Kali, in this Kali Yuga, he may not have much more qualities like Bhima also, even, right? So in ancient days, Jyeshta energy people were very much responsible, protective, and just imagine in the Treta Yuga it was very much better, and then in the Dwapara Yuga, the Jyeshta energy people, maybe they were less responsible compared to Treta Yuga, less protective, having the protecting nature compared to Treta. And just imagine in the Kali Yuga, people may not have much more responsible, right? But at least to an extent, at least when the people are till their engage, till they are till the age of 30 at least, right? They must have this kind of functionalities when Jyeshta energy is more prominent. Let us take a Jyeshta moon person or a Jyeshta lagna person. A person would be very much, at least, right, he shows that kind of responsibilities and protecting others, right, kind of energy, at least till an age of 30 at least we can expect, right? Because the universal functioning is also going down, right, by age, yuga by yuga. So however, even you can also find some politicians and ruling class of today, right, you can also find Jyeshta energy in them, and Jyeshta people, Jyeshta related people in this political and ruling classes. Now who is the god of Jyeshta Nakshatra? Indra. Indra is the protector of gods. He is the god of gods generally, right? So is the main, Indra is the main governing deity of this particular nakshatra. So, it is important here to talk about Indra, right. So, Indra, lot many stories in all the ancient Hindu scriptures, you can find ample of stories about Indra. Indra is basically a position, it's the name of the throne, basically it's the position of the throne, it's a king of kings, it's a king of gods kind of, right. So, a soul, if you consider a soul level, the spiritual level, so when a soul is very much greater, right, very much greater, and after doing so much of penance, after doing so much of good deeds, then only the person, can go to heavens, and in the heavens also, after doing so much of hard work and so much of taking so much of responsibilities, only the person can become Indra. So, Indra is basically a very big responsible position, right. So, basically in ancient Vedic culture, it was believed that there was no position much responsible than Indra. Indra was the highest responsible position, other than Shiva, Brahma, and then Vishnu. Out of these, so this trinity, if you leave this trinity, the other biggest position in the ancient Vedic culture was Indra only. In every homa or in every Vedic puja, wherever they used to do the Vedic puja, whatever, they always used to pray Indra. Indra was the main god at the time, right. So, it was a very big responsible position, basically Indra. So, Jyeshta has the capacity to have this kind of authoritative position, right. So, on earth, Jyeshta is something like Indra in the heaven, right. Of course, Jyeshta is on earth, you can say. So, Indra in the heaven, Jyeshta on the earth, that is a kind of similarity, you can say. So, Indra is what is Indra? Also means it's the meaning of Indra is a celestial drop, right. So, there are so many meanings, generally you can find various meanings for a single Sanskrit word. So, it's basically Indra means king of gods. Even though he is a god, he is a king of gods, he is just a mere drop as far as the universe is concerned, right. The universe, he is also a kind of drop, but he was of course king of gods. So, we can see that this meaning also relates to this particular celestial drop. It also relates well to the fact that Indra was regarded as the rain god in most of the ancient cultures, right. That symbolism, this celestial drop, because in ancient Vedic culture, whenever they want rain, they used to pray Indra, they used to do homas, right. So, 5000 years ago, let us take, Indra was the most worshipped among all the deities in the Vedic culture. Indra was the main god actually. Means every puja, every Vedic puja, they used to pray a lot Indra. Without Indra, no puja was preferred that time. 5000 years ago, that was when the Kali Yuga, before starting of the Kali Yuga, you could say, right. Indra was the main god. So, of course, there were all the deities that we are praying nowadays were also present that time, but of course not some of the deities who came especially some 1000 years ago or in these last 500 years ago, whatever. But in 5000 years ago, almost most of the deities were present, like Vigneshwara, they used to pray Ma Lakshmi, Vishnu, Brahma, Ishvara, all deities were present. But among all of the deities, people whenever they do some Vedic activities, Indra was the main deity. So, Vedas, especially the earlier ones, are full of remarks about the glory of Indra, his worship, right. Always Vedas always used to talk about Indra, the initial the very early days of this Vedic culture, they always used to talk about Indra only. So even it's something like Greeks used to worship a thunder god known as Thor, right? So this thunder god was supposed to wield a thunderbolt, right, in much similar way as Indra. This particular Greeks also had a god called Thor, because that time rain was very much important for everything, for food and everything, right? So Indra was very much important. So he is always portrayed with a thunderbolt in his hand, right? He Indra has has something like a thunderbolt in his hand always, right? So rain was important to all civilizations, because of course agriculture is directly, it's equated with prosperity, right? If there is good agricultural activities, then there is prosperity, we consider. So rain is very much important in any civilization, but in ancient civilizations rain was the most important thing, where even they were not storing any kind of water, there was no technology at all, only rain, right? If rain was coming, they had good agricultural activities and they used to have some good food, right? Rain was very much important. So Indra was very much important that time. So it's not surprising that this nakshatra is related to prosperity on the material plane of existence, because Indra is always related to the material. He is responsible for rain, and rain gives you prosperity on the material plane. So this nakshatra is also related to material prosperity. So this nakshatra also conveys a certain strong concern for prosperity. So much the same way as the people in the olden days eagerly, they were waiting for rains to fall, and then they had good agriculture, and so this is always, this particular nakshatra is about prosperity also. So when the rainfall is irregular, of course you can also see agriculture, it is going to destroy the agriculture if the rain is not so regular, right? So this nakshatra also, it's something like bring about a kind of hard times also, because Jyeshta, if it is very much regular, it is very good, but just imagine irregular rains, they are going to spoil the agriculture, right? So Jyeshta is also like that. If Jyeshta nakshatra energy is actually afflicted, the energy in the horoscope is afflicted, then the person may have a lot of problems, just like how agriculture is spoiled by irregular rains, right? So you can also see that even the rulers of a nation, if they are corrupt and greedy, right, it's going to be it's leading to some adversity, right? The ruler is very good, then he is going to protect, of course, because Jyeshta is something like a protector. Protector means the ruler, right, head of the country. If he is very good, then he is going to give a lot of prosperity to the country, and if he is very corrupt, then the country is going to be damaged a lot, the country is going to be vanished if the ruler is completely corrupt, right? So Jyeshta is like a ruler, Jyeshta is like a protector, Jyeshta is like rain, Jyeshta is prosperity. If it is irregular, the rain is irregular, everything is going to be spoiled. So Jyeshta energy is the most important energy in any horoscope if it is present, right? If some planet is present in Jyeshta, then that is to be analyzed very carefully. So if see, after the invention of new technologies, the dependence of agriculture on rain is actually diminished. So obviously the worship of Indra is also diminished, especially in the age of Kali Yuga, right? So you can also see Krishna is the main person, right? You can hear a lot of stories about Krishna in the Bhagavata. So he is the first known person actually who turned the common people away from the worship of Indra. It is said that Krishna was the first person who actually did this. So he encouraged the people to establish direct communication with the forces of nature instead, right. So actually forces, Indra was king of gods, so Indra used to control the nature and everything also. So if you pray Indra, Indra can give lot of rain and everything, and thereby good agriculture and food and everything, right. But after that, Krishna suggested the common people to directly rely upon the natural forces, directly rely upon rain, directly pray rain god. So instead of Indra was treated as rain god, of course, pray directly rain. Why Indra? So that was the first suggestion by Krishna, right. So because see, Indra's power only relies on his connection with these forces, right. So if you try to give some representation to rain only, rain god, separate symbolism other than Indra, then if you pray that particular rain god, then that is good enough to get rains. So even today you can see the ruling groups go to great lengths to maintain this connection. Even the ruling people, means the politician or the head of the countries, they directly want to control this rain. They are trying to get the artificial methodologies. They are trying to they are asking the scientists also to come up with some artificial methodologies to get rain, right. So instead of praying any kind of god or right anything, so the ruling class is somehow, because see, one ruling class is becoming against the other ruling class. Indra is the ruling class, Indra and Krishna was also a ruling class, right. In Dwapara Yuga, just imagine this particular opposition came into the picture, and that opposition energy is still going on even now today in the age of Kali. So from Dwapara Yuga onwards, you could clearly see the connection with Indra was a bit reduced, right. So this is the main theme about Indra. So Indra is actually basically how Indra is portrayed. Indra is someone who is very proud, vain, tricky, is very unreliable character in most of the stories, right, Puranic stories mainly. So most of the elements of his nature are conveyed through this particular nakshatra. So basically Jyeshta people are a bit proud, they are tricky also, they have some kind of unreliable character, people generally say. So you cannot because Indra is the deity, right. So even though they have this kind of protecting qualities, and they have this kind of protecting and taking the responsibility for others, this kind of qualities they have, but at the same time they are unreliable and they are proud also. So in this way Jyeshta is very similar to Vishakha, Vishakha energy is also similar to that. So Vishakha is also the nakshatra which is actually ruled by Indra. So Jyeshta, however, is much more controlled compared to Vishakha. It's much more controlled, it's secretive, it's kind of deliberating in comparison to Vishakha, right. So one can clearly understand that Jyeshta functions in a positive or negative way depending upon who the Indra is at this point of time, kind of, right. Indra, so in ancient Vedic culture, this kind of what is that, perception was also there, like the current Indra. So Indra is just a throne, it's a position, right. Whoever was Indra, if Indra was very good, means if the ruler was very good in the heaven, so people used to expect very good rains, and Jyeshta energy is very good, right. So Jyeshta is someone like it's a kind of unreliable character, you can say in one word. So it's very much similar to Vishakha, but it's a bit controlled, right. So afflicted Jyeshta, if you see in a birth chart, will tend, it's going to bring out the negative qualities. So Jyeshta also has the negative qualities and also the positive qualities. If let us say Jupiter is occupying Jyeshta, Jupiter, and also Jupiter is a very good planet for that particular horoscope, let us say for that particular lagna even. So that Jupiter in Jyeshta is going to bring a lot of good results, But if that Jupiter is a malefic one, or any malefic planet to the horoscope is coming and sitting in the Jyeshta Nakshatra, just imagine the kind of qualities the person may have. The person is very unreliable, very tricky, very proud, right? So that is the basic thing you can understand, right? So afflicted Jyeshta is all about negative qualities of Jyeshta. So misuse of power, misusing the authority, unnecessary proud, and all those things you can observe in those people. If it is very much good, the Jyeshta Nakshatra energy, the planet is very good, it's going to give a lot of prosperity, it's very protectiveness towards others and everything, right? So Jyeshta, the particular thing is one important thing, the ancients believe that, so Jyeshta it generally gives the prosperity only through some occult, supernatural, or some extraordinary means. So generally when Jyeshta power is very good, if you practice some occult sciences, that power is actually going to be invoked very much, alright. So because see, Indra always gets his position and power through what? Power, he is going to get power, he is going to get power through some kind of penance, some kind of occult activities, you can say, some kind of mantra chanting or whatever, these all, the tantric things and everything. So Indra generally gets that power. There are so many people who are very much strong, but how only one person is going to get the throne of Indra? Because by doing some tantric things or by doing some occult practices, only this Indra throne is actually achieved. So Jyeshta energy is basically, it is going to be activated only when you start practicing some occult sciences, when you start doing some mantra chanting and all this stuff, then only this Jyeshta energy is going to be activated. So once the Jyeshta energy is activated, then you generally become a person in authority, right? So if you have Jyeshta energy, then it's very much evident for you now that you should practice some occult. Then it's activated and you can become something authoritative. Then people will feel you as an authoritative person. They will start having some fear or having some respect on you, right? That is the main thing. So even this Indra, this thunderbolt, he has a thunderbolt in his hand, right? So he got the thunderbolt by some occult propitiation of a sage called Dadichi. Basically it's a Puranic story. So that thunderbolt also he got by doing some by some occult things only. So occult is very much important for Jyeshta energy, for activation of Jyeshta. So a sense of arriving or a sense of becoming greater, a sense of becoming more responsible, a sense of authoritativeness is actually it is shown by the Jyeshta energy. So Jyeshta completes this particular second series of 9 nakshatras. So Ashwini to Aslesha, the first 9 set of nakshatras, and then Magha to Jyeshta, second set of 9 nakshatras, and the third set of 9 nakshatras are from Mula to Revati, right? So the second series, right, it is a kind of flowering up of something, it's more related to materiality, also material energy, right? Because all the sacrificing energies are basically, they are in the third part of the 9 nakshatras. Is more materiality we talk about in the second 9 nakshatras basically. So Jyeshta is a nakshatra where, you know, it's a nakshatra where you can keep your image, right? So that energy you can utilize and you can keep your image. It's important than any other nakshatra. Jyeshta natives usually do everything from a point of view which cares a great deal about how others are actually perceiving them. This is the most important thing for Jyeshta. Jyeshta people, they take responsibility, they do something for attention, they want that kind of attention there, right? So they want the other people to perceive them as great. Even kings do a lot of things in olden days. In ancient civilization, they wanted to be portrayed as a great people in the minds of the common people, in the perception of the common people. They wanted to establish a greater image. That's why they used to do something authoritative and something protective, something great basically, right? That sense is also present here. So basically this Jyeshta energy wants to gain respect in society and do whatever is necessary to whatever is necessary to meet some kind of standards, so that their image is very much greater in the minds of the common people, right? So they do everything for that respectful position, they take responsibility for that. So in ancient times, when this particular charity, kindness, philanthropy, right, they were the main things for gaining a respectable position in the society. So Jyeshta, actually they used to do this kind of activities only, the charity, or they show kindness, they do some kind of philanthropy, they means they have this kind of philanthropic things, you know, whatever the good things they used to do. Basically, I want to tell you, they used to do a lot of good things, because by doing good things only you can gain some respectable position in the society. But in the today's world, just imagine, you know, if you do some bad deeds, then only you will become a king. If you do some negative things, then only you will gain some respectable position. Then just imagine what a Jyeshta person can do really in the age of Kali. So Jyeshta energy can be very much bad also these days. It's considered to be bad because they try to do something bad to gain respectable position, right? In ancient days the dharma was different, so that is also one important observation here. So in the present day, if you see the excessive materialism where it is ruling, it is the standard, right? To gain respectable position, what is the standard? If you have some excessive materialism, if you have 100 if you have 200 rooms bungalow or a very big building, if you have, then you are going to gain some respectable position. It's not that if you are if you follow some dharma, if you follow some if you show some kindness, if you do a lot of charity, then people think you are mad, right? You don't gain any respectable position. But in olden days, in ancient days, the dharma was different. If you do more charity, if you sacrifice everything, and if you are penniless, then and you, let us say you did a lot of charity and you became penniless, then people used to respect you a lot, because you sacrificed a lot for the society. Then that way you used to gain a respectable position. But nowadays, if you have lot of excessive materialistic things, then you will gain respectable position. So just actually they follow this kind of materialistic things in this particular age. So generally this Jyeshta energy in the age of Kali, it is right, the energy is going to be channelized in this excessive towards excessive materialism, and it can become self-destructive also, because in any yuga, if a person is running after more and more materialistic things, ultimately he will uh, he will be self-destructive, you can say in one word, right? If you are running after so much of materiality in any yuga, a fundamental formula is you will become self-destructive. So that kind of energy you can observe. So you can also see a kind of corruptedness, and the unwise politicians who are actually running after excessive materialistic things, the bureaucrats or even the managers who are running after this excessive materialistic things, they are of course in a by nature. Jyeshta gives you some kind of greater position, right? So, but if you are in a greater position, and if your Jyeshta energy in this age of Kali is all about excessive materialism, and if you are following that excessive materialistic things, then ultimately you will lose your character. You may not be in a respectable position after that, right? So just after gaining the respectable position, just don't run after those excessive materialistic things, so that you will have that respectable position in the society. So natives with this particular Jyeshta Lagna, right, are having the Jyeshta moon or any kind of strong Jyeshta influence, even connected to ascendant, or right, in the whole horoscope, if you have more Jyeshta energy, they mature very quickly, physically or mentally. It is a fundamental thing basically. So especially Jyeshta Lagna, if you have, then your body is also very much proportionate body you may have, uh, and as you are the senior most, you may not hold your that youth for a long time, because it's the senior most nakshatra, but you have maturity, very well maturity, body maturity, or the mental maturity is more. So obviously your youth is only for that period, right? So that is the energy of uh, this particular, right, nakshatra. So eyes are the most prominent parts for Jyeshta nakshatra energy, right? So you can easily spot. So whenever you see a Jyeshta energy person, you can initially spot his eyes. That is the normal belief. So, and one more thing is, Jyeshta natives are, they try to magnify their troubles also, that kind of tendency, uh, because by magnifying troubles they think that they can take some responsibility, and and then they show to the world that they are the great, they are the great people, even in this kind of uh, troubled situation. I am very great, I did this, I helped this person. This kind of thing is also present, because in the age of Kali, just imagine a corrupted behavior or a malefic behavior of this particular Jyeshta energy, right? So Jyeshta is something about exaggerating, something about uh, even magnifying the troubles and showing their power, and gaining respect from that, right? So you generally in the mundane astrology we say Africa, continent Africa is under the strong influence of Jyeshta energy, right? So continent Africa has more Jyeshta energy generally in the mundane astrology. Even if you observe the Brihat Samhita, you can also understand this particular fact. A revengeful activity is revengeful and vindictive tendency is often noticed in Jyeshta natives. So they are very much revengeful, right? Even if you try to insult them, 1%, they will try to take revenge by 100%, such kind of activity. So this is another. So they have a lot of jealousy also. They get this jealousy because Indra is all about jealousy, right? So they get jealousy very easily and they are always on the this side of getting jealousy, right? If they are great, that is okay. If the other person is great, then they may get some jealousy very easily. A strong competitive spirit is also shown in them, because that is Indra. Basically Indra is jealousy. Indra is a very strong competitive spirit and very revengeful character is Indra, right? So they forget the internal direction also, right? They forget the internal direction, they forget the minimum common sense also sometimes, in order to gain that, in order to show that revengeful, in order to take the revenge, right? Or in order to gain that particular respective position in the society, and or following that competitive spirit, that competition, they even lose some of the internal direction also even. So the goodness of Jyeshta natives lies in their ability to protect others, protecting the weak people, the subordinate people, the underprivileged people, the helpless people, right? They try to protect them, right? The such kind of positive thing, as we discussed, that is a positive thing. So even they can enter into a dangerous position for protecting others. Such kind of beautiful heart also they have, right? So they try to help others. They are the protectors. They take responsibility for others, for others win, for others winnings. They take, they try to work hard, right? Such kind of qualities they also have. But this jealousy, revenge takingness, and competitive, lot of competitive spirit, right? So in those areas they become even headless, directionless also sometimes. So they want to stick to their word sometimes, right? Because Indra is also like that. Indra is basically a ruler. So they have a responsible attitude towards the affairs that fall under their domain. So they take a lot of responsibility. So they always carry this sense of responsibility and protectiveness, sometimes to extremes, as we discussed, right? Because they are the Indras, right? So in today's age, again, if you understand this Jyeshta functioning is, it's better if it is these people go to military, these people go to military only, right? Any kind of Martian pursuits, like police is also something, like if they want to reach some higher position, let us say if a Jyeshta person is a police and to reach a very respectable position in the society, just imagine he may try to do a lot of illegal things also. Better they go to military. But police is also good for them, because by taking bribery, by taking bribes, or by doing something wrong in the police department, you cannot reach a very great position, because your subordinates can know about you and you may not reach that respectable position, right? So it is very much, there is some transparency in the police department or even in the military department. That's why better these people go to military and police departments, right? So this kind of revenge takingness on enemies, or competitive spirit, and also going to any extent for giving life to their words and all that, for manifesting whatever they want, this kind of things, they are very good in that military and police pursuits. So this is one of the even the jealousy, right? Even that jealousy factor is also good in military. They can be jealous of the enemies, and they try to spoil the enemies, whatever. That is very good if they are in military. So as a whole, in this video we try to talk about Jyeshta. Jyeshta means the elder, the responsible, the protective. Its symbolism is the ring and a umbrella position. Generally these people are in good positions in the society, and they always, because they generally they want to be in respectable positions by default, their nature is like that. So they generally reach some good positions in the society, but in order to gain even more, because there is no end for Jyeshta desires, right? They are unsatisfied, they want to gain more and more. They are the Indras, and they are revengeful characters. They are actually competitive. They are very hard in this particular competition, and they get jealousy very easily, and even they create some troublesome environment in order to show their greatness. That kind of behavior also they show, and Jyeshta is very much responsible, protective, and so this is the energy you can see in Jyeshta, right? So we'll also talk about this Jyeshta energy more, the mode of functioning, what are the good things that we can do on the Jyeshta Nakshatra day, more different pathas of Jyeshta and all the things. We'll talk about them in the next video. Thanks for watching this.